Welcome to Reggie's Reviews, where it's no filler, no fluff, but we keeps it a buck. And today we're going to be talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. We're going to be looking at their team. We're going to be looking at the roster. We're going to talk about who's going to stay, who's going to go, and then after that, we'll talk about some possible fantasy trades that could happen. As you know, I'm an Orlando Magic fan, but I do got my brother Stan in the building, who's a hardcore Lakers fan, so he'll be able to help go through this. How's it going, man?
It's going good, bro. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So let's just dive right in. I'm going to start with ones that should be fairly boring at first, and then we'll go to the more interesting ones as we go. Um, LeBron James. I don't think there's much to talk about here. It's LeBron James. To me, I don't think there's any real doubt that he's going to be staying, but is there conversation? I'll leave it to you, Stan. What you got?
Well, I think that it's not, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion right now. I just don't. Um, with LeBron, you just never know. You know, you just never know. And there's always been chatter about LeBron, and there's been chatter all year about him. And my gut tells me he's back next year, and he'll sign. He'll sign whatever contract that he wants. Jeannie Buss and the Lakers will give him. So if he wants a 2-year deal for 120, he'll get it. If he wants a 3-year deal for 180, he'll get it. Now, whether or not you think he should be getting that money, and that you should be paying 41-year-old, 42-year-old LeBron James $60 million a year, is a different argument. And I would sit here and tell you that he should not be, but it's probably going to happen. So if I had to guess, he's going to be back next year, but I wouldn't put it 100% right now because again, he can opt out if he chooses to, and I think he will try. He will opt out. I'm pretty certain of that. He will opt out, and he's either going to sign like I said, a 1-and-1, which is what he always does. So if I had to gun to my head, he'll sign a 1-and-1, and he'll be back for max money, which the Lakers should not do, but they're going to do. So it's not even the point of me sitting here arguing about it because they're going to do it. Their attitude is that we got to have LeBron James. So
Now, did he did
he'll,
he already did he already opt out?
he has not, but I think he has to the end of the month to opt out to let them know. So my guess, like I said, my guess is he will opt out, and like I said, my guess is he'll do a 1-and-1, 1 year plus a player option, and he'll keep doing that until he decides to retire. I can't, like I said, gun to my head, I don't see him playing for another team, but the option is there, I
Yeah, I
think.
I would be stunned if there's anything happening here. LeBron's going to be back with the team. I think LeBron's definitely going to spend the rest of his career in LA. I think there was some discussions about the whole him playing with his son, so he made. But I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, obviously the Bronny James thing is something else we'll get into, but like, I mean, LeBron's going to be back with the Lakers. I don't think there's any real doubt about that. They're not. He's going to be with LA for the rest of his career. I don't think there's
Yeah, I think, like I said,
any real doubt
I,
about it.
I, yeah, I saw a video yesterday of him working out at the Lakers facility with Bronny. So I think it's pretty obvious that the Lakers will use a second round pick on Bronny if he's available. Which again is another topic if you want to get into that later on. But I think that that's what's going to happen. If he's available in the second round, the Lakers will draft him.
I mean, for a second round pick, I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world. I mean, I think the Lakers pick. What do you pick? 15th, 16th in the draft.
I think they're picking 15th and 16th in the first round. I would not use a first round pick on him because I don't think he's a first round pick talent right now. Um, I don't see any team using a first round pick on him right now, but there are teams that I do think would use a second round pick on him. Just again to see what's there. Again, he didn't show a whole lot, but like I said, if we're gonna get into that discussion, we can later on. But he's a second to me. He's a second round at best pick that But if he's there in the second round, the Lakers I think will draft him.
All right. Yeah, we'll get into that when we finish because I want to talk about the draft a little bit once we get there. Um,
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, I don't think there's any real doubt he's back with the team. Is there any possible thing you could think of him not being with the Lakers next year?
No, I don't think so. I think he'll be back with the Lakers next year. And again, with AD, it's look. He had a great season last year. It was probably his best season he's had since the 2020 year. He played 72 games last year, so he stayed relatively healthy. But you're banking on that again for a second season when he's never done that. He's never played more than 70 games in his entire career. He's been in the league for now over a decade now. But my guess is he's going to be back next year. Again, I don't see the Lakers trading him unless, again, there is a Joel Embiid, Giannis type of deal available, which don't see happening. I don't see it all happening. Now, last year there was some talk about that, and if Joel Embiid wanted to trade with the Lakers, trade Anthony Davis for him, which I would have done in a heartbeat. But no, he's back next year. His cap number next year, I believe, is 43 million, and then that bitch is going to skyrocket to 57 the next year. Yeah, again, you want to talk about that later on, we can too. But the Anthony Davis cap number is frightening if you look at it the next couple of years.
Well, look, Anthony Davis did play well last year, and he played well, and he stayed for the most part healthy. I mean, he had some issues, but I mean, he stayed healthy for the most part last year, and he played well. He had a really good season last year. Um, it's kind of one of those things, though. You think about like, can he kind of do that again? Because I mean, I don't know, man. Like, he's definitely staying with the team, but I'm really at this point questioning like really how far you realistically can go with this LeBron Anthony Davis tandem. Obviously with LeBron James' age, but again, LeBron had a great year last year as well, and also stayed fairly healthy. So you had both of your guys fairly healthy most of the year, and still wasn't the best year for the Lakers. I mean, so that's
Well,
definitely a concern.
the reality is that the last couple of years, this has not been. You would look at LeBron and AD's numbers, and if you look at their numbers are what they've always been. I mean, LeBron has been again. We joke about the LeBron, 25, 7 and 7. That's pretty much what his numbers were last year. Anthony Davis was around the same numbers he's always around 25, 10, 11 boards a game, 2 blocks, 3 blocks a game. The numbers were what they were, solid. The numbers were what they've been always putting up, but the Lakers were near the middle tier of the league in offensive efficiency. And you're like, how is that possible? Well, it's possible because we have no shooting. The outside shooting was inconsistent all year. That's why. So yeah, LeBron was putting up his numbers, AD was putting up his numbers, but when you go back past that and you look at what Reeves did, and you look at what Russell did, and you look at what Hachimura did, these guys were just inconsistent all year. And a lot of that had to do with Darvin Ham's inconsistent rotations as well, which is why he
And
ain't here no
injuries.
more, and injuries as well. And again, his inconsistent rotations last year. You just look at it and you look at it and you say, how is it the Lakers are 19th or 18th or middle in the pack of the NBA in offensive efficiency with two top tier offensive players in Davis and LeBron? And you're like, well, that's why. It's the guys around them. They just did not have. They did not get the shooting that they needed from the guys they thought they would get it from offensively, and they just were not efficient in half court offense. It was just basically LeBron ISO, D'Lo ISO. You know, when they would do, hey, maybe we should do the LeBron AD pick and roll. No shit. Yeah, you should run that a lot. But again, that's why Darvin Ham's not the coach anymore, and well, part of the reason why. But it's very. You look at it, and you're like, how are they so mediocre? When if you look at the numbers, and LeBron's numbers were again what they've always been, seemingly for 20 years, the same numbers. It's remarkable. He keeps putting up the same numbers at this stage. And Davis had his, like I said, his best season in since the 2020 year, and they still were middle of the pack in offensive efficiency, still middle of the pack in offense, and it's just like it tells you how much better the rest of the league has become. To be honest, that's really what it is. I have a very bleak outlook on this team, as you're going to hear throughout this topic.
Gotcha. All right. Next on the list is the great Colin Castleton. What's your opinion on this guy?
I have no fucking idea who that is. I'm not even going to lie to you.
I do it.
I have no.
I do it.
I have no fucking idea who that is. I don't even think he even got into a game this year. And if he did, it was probably a blowout. So, um, yeah, he can replace. He can go for all I care. Yeah, put him in the don't care list.
All right. We'll put him in the don't care category. And we also have who's this Sky? What's this guy's name? I looked him up here. Unless you know who it is. There we go. Skylar Mays. Skylar Mays, the great guard, Skylar Mays for Los Angeles Lakers. What do you think, Stan? Where you got him at?
He's another again. I don't even know if that again. I don't even know if he got into any games, but yeah, don't care because I don't even know if he got into a games last year. Yeah, you gotta give you somebody that actually may have played a minute or so because I don't think those guys ever played.
Yeah, how about Harry Giles? He get into some games?
He did. Eric Giles got into some games,
Okay.
maybe a couple of games, maybe.
Okay.
But
What you think?
I, yeah, he wasn't didn't show a whole lot. You know, they took a flyer on Harry Giles midway through the season because they needed something, and it just was another one of those Rob Pelinka. Who the fuck? Who knew the fuck what Harry Giles was? And it was like he's another guy that just didn't cut it in the league, and they gave him a chance, and I don't think he made much of an impact. So yeah, he can go.
He can go or don't care?
Don't care.
Don't care?
Actually,
Okay.
don't care.
Okay.
He's
Put him
gonna
in
have
the
a lot of those.
don't care category. And got Spencer Dinwiddie. I think you guys picked him up like mid-season as well. Was it a trade? It was at the buyout market, right?
Yeah, he got bought out when he was in one of the trades. I don't even remember what trade it was. I think it was the Harden trade, and he was
Yeah.
in it, and he got bought out. Um, Dinwiddie was very disappointing, but then Dinwiddie wasn't good to beginning of that season anyway. And I don't think he made again. They were looking for another playmaker, another guy that could handle the ball to take the pressure off LeBron. And Dinwiddie had moments, but for most part, especially in the playoffs, he had no offensive impact. He didn't want to shoot the ball. And again, in these moments, if you are scared to shoot the ball, you can't be on the court. And Dinwiddie did not have much of an impact offensively, and his defense wasn't that great either. So yeah, he can. I'm not interested in bringing him back.
Not interested or don't care. Is he just straight gone?
Uh, yeah, I think he's just gone. No care. Yeah, he's gone. He can go. I'm not interested in bringing him back.
It's interesting with him though because I mean it seemed like it was just yesterday where he was a legitimate player. I don't know what happened. Like he was really good for a little bit there, and he just
He was
falling off.
he yeah yeah he had some moments in Brooklyn. He had some moments in Dallas, but he had no moments in Dallas. I shouldn't say a moment. He had none in Dallas. And again, when you've been traded multiple times, and he was traded twice to Brooklyn. Sometimes that really affects your psyche, man. And I think him being traded so many times affected his psyche. And again, you know, when you have limited resources like the Lakers have had the last couple of years, you see a name like Spencer Dinwiddie, and you say, "Well, what the hell? We might as well take a flyer on him, see what happens." And it just wasn't. I don't. It didn't work out. I don't think so. I don't think he'll be back at all.
Okay. We got here Maxwell Lewis. Maxwell Lewis, a great forward for the Lakers. We got Maxwell Lewis. What do you think?
He got into some garbage time last year, but Um, he can stay because again, young players like that they did use a draft pick on. I think they use a draft pick on him, so he can stay to see what he has. And he might get some run next year again, depending on what they do in free agency to fill the roster out. He might get some run next year.
Well, so is this somebody y'all drafted last year?
Shit, man, you got me on that one. I think it was the year before they drafted him,
And still
but
not many minutes for him. Yeah.
nah, he didn't get much run. Again, it was garbage time for the most part. Again, he's a young player, so you want to give him a. Like I said, they'll probably give him a little bit of run this year to see what he has. So yeah, I'll keep him.
All right. Put him in the staying category. And who is this guy here? Is this Jalen Hood-Schifino? Is that who this is?
Probably,
I think
yeah,
so.
yeah,
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah. What do you
yeah. No,
think?
don't get me started with that guy because again, to me, that was a wasted pick last year. They drafted him with the full intent of trading him. He was never drafted to help this team, and I'm like, we don't have too many first round picks. We've pretty much given all our first round picks to the fucking Pelicans in the Davis trade. And when you get one, you need to draft somebody that can help this team right away. We needed help. We needed somebody who could get in there and play right away. And he was not ready to play at all. He was drafted as a prospect to use as a trade piece. He still might be a trade piece, but I mean, honestly, I'd keep him just because, again, he might have something. And he's a very young player, but to say that I don't really trust our player development is an understatement. But I keep him just because he's a young player. And again, he's a first round pick. So yeah, he's got to stay just because of that. But I think Laker fans have just been kind of like scratching their noggin about that pick because of the guys that were available at the time that could have helped this team. Like I think Jaquez could have helped his team because he sure as hell had an impact in Miami.
And right at UCLA
Yeah,
too, man. That's a tough one.
yeah, right at fucking UFC UCLA, right across the street, and yeah, that pisses me off. It just pisses me off because that could have been that again. We needed somebody that could help us right away. We needed young players that could help because that's what we don't have. We don't have any dogs on our team, and that's the biggest problem that I'm having with the Lakers. And again, we can get to that towards the end, but the biggest problem I have right now is we don't have any young dogs like these other teams ahead of us that are going to be ahead of us. We don't have anybody that can get at guys. We don't have who do we have that's gonna and again we can get to it at the end, like I said, yeah, but it's like the roster, it's just not it's like I said, I don't have a whole lot of faith in this team right now. I just feel like it's God that pisses me off. That still pisses me off, that wasted pick. Because like I said, Jaquez was right there and he could have helped this team because he helped his impact in Miami was, he had a huge impact in Miami. And I got to look at like, man, we could have used a guy like that. That
He
kind of
could have, man. I
energy off
gotta
the
be real.
bench.
Yeah, you definitely could have. I mean, I'm gonna be real though. I didn't see this coming. He looked like a very, very good college player, but I really didn't see him being a pro. So it honestly shocked me that he was as good as he was in Miami. So I kind of get it, but obviously, I think it was I was watching this was a while ago. Chris Collinsworth was talking about the draft in the NFL, and he was like, a GM told him that the draft is a crapshoot, and he was like, yeah, and it definitely is a crapshoot. And then the GM was like, but if you want to keep your job, it's simply a crapshoot. You have to win. It's kind of that simple. These drafts are weird, but yeah, that's a big miss. That's a big miss. Again, right at UCLA. That's a tough for sure.
Mm, It's tough. It's
All right.
it's tough. You know.
Jackson Hayes. Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, yeah. I'm not. I would love to bring Jackson Hayes back. I thought he gave us some good minutes off the bench, especially in times when AD was in foul trouble or he wasn't available or he was banged up. I thought Jackson Hayes gave us a lot of energy off the bench. Um, but again, he's not a. It's just he's a piece, But if that's your backup, I mean, if that's your backup center, is not bad. Like I said, he gave us some good minutes off the bench. I think he's got some. I think he has some promise. Again, he's still a young player, so I would keep him on the team. I would like to bring him
So
back.
with him being young and having promise though, and he gave you some good minutes off the bench. Um, do you think that he could be somebody who could be lumped into a deal? Because obviously the Lakers are going to have to make some deals, and in order to make deals, you simply have to have players that other teams want. And do you think he could be someone that could be like kind of like lumped into a deal, or do you think that you feel pretty solid that he's going to be back as your backup next year?
I don't think he has much trade value, to be honest with you. But
I
I think he
disagree.
just. I think you think so. You think he's got some trade? Because I don't know. Because like I said, his
Yeah,
contract
I
situation, I
mean,
believe he's got a year, a player option. I think,
yeah.
but I think he's got a player option. But I would bring him back. Um, he might be. He could potentially be
I'm
a
not
trade
saying
piece.
I'm not saying he'd be like a I'm not saying he'd be like a focal point in the trade, but I'm saying when you like start lumping stuff together, he could be like that last partner you throw in to make a team say, "All right, yeah, let's do that deal." So that's kind of what I mean by that.
It's possible, but again, you gotta understand. I don't think there wasn't much of a market for him last year, which is why he ended up on the Lakers on a minimum salary deal. You gotta understand why some of these guys ended up on our team on a minimal salary deals last year. But I thought Jackson Hayes played well in spurts last year. Um, he did play well at times, and I just don't think he has much trade value. But again, some team might look at him and say, you know what, he might be something special with some more development. But I like I
Right.
said, I'd like to keep him on the roster. Again, got some continuity for next year. I would like to have him back, but I just have a really thinking feeling it's going to be just another year with a bunch of new guys on the team next year.
All right. With that, Christian Wood. Christian Wood. What you got?
He can, yeah, another flyer that they took on a guy just didn't work. Again, there's a reason why Christian Wood has been on like 10 teams and he's been in the league for like 10 years. I mean, he just there's something about him that just I think again it turns teams off. It just and I think it goes back to again defense. And again in this league now you have got to be able to defend some way, shape, or form to justify minutes. And he didn't get hurt last year, but when he did play, he just again he maybe would make a couple of threes here and there, and he rebounded a little bit, but defensively he was fucking horrible. Just a disaster defensively. But again, it was another one of those taking a flyer on a guy because that's all we could do is take flyers on guys that had been in the league. And Christian Wood was like one of those. To me, he was one of those guys that has a name value. So when you tell Laker fans, "Hey, we just signed Christian Wood," they're gonna say, "Christian Wood, I know him." Yeah, you do know him, but he's been on like 9 teams. There's a reason why he's been on 9 teams. So he can fucking go. I have no interest in keeping him because I just didn't see any value in him last year, outside of maybe making a couple threes, but he didn't even make the threes that we needed. Just you know, yeah.
All right. Next we have Jared Vanderbilt. What do you think about Jared Vanderbilt? Jared Vanderbilt.
Didn't play Holly last year because he was hurt all the damn year. And when he was healthy the year before, he made a great impact defensively. And it's a situation where again, health is going to be the issue of him. But I do think because of his contract, the likelihood is that he will be in some sort of a deal. Um, I again wouldn't mind having him back because again we need some defensive presence on this team because we did not have any because of with him being out. He was just a layup line at times without him out there. But I don't know how well he fits in there with. I mean, he did. If you go back a couple years ago, when the Lakers made that run to the Western Conference Finals, he was a big part of that defensively because he was able to take some pressure off of AD.
Right.
So I would like to have him on the team, but my guess is he will be in a trade. He will be in a trade because of his contract. He's a very trade friendly contract. He's about 10, $11 million, I think, his salary. So he will probably be in a trade.
Okay, we'll put him in the could be traded category. Then we have Terian Prince. What do you think of him?
Another disappointing signing by Rob Pelinka that did not pan out the way we wanted. Although he was probably one of the few bench guys that actually wanted to shoot in the playoffs. But Prince was a disappointment most of the season. Again, he would have a couple of games where you're like, oh, Charlie and Prince hit about three threes in this game. But again, if I had to choose, I would bring him back only because he would probably be cheap and he is a threat to shoot the three. And we don't have a lot of those guys on the roster. So I'd keep Torian Prince, but again,
So is
only
he a,
at a minimum salary. He
is he
only
a
signed a
free
one
agent?
year deal. Yeah, he only signed a 1 year
Ah,
deal.
okay,
So
gotcha.
he's a free agent. So I would bring him back on a
Okay,
minimum,
so you want to put
another
him?
minimum salary. Yeah, only minimum salary only.
Would you go probably? Would you go probably staying or staying?
I would say he's probably staying. I think he's probably staying, unless again the Lakers find somebody in the free agent market that's an upgrade. And I don't know if there's going to be too many guys available at minimum salary contract level that can upgrade over him. So I would keep him on the team.
Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish, man, he was a disappointment, man. I had high hopes for this guy coming out of college, man. He was such a disappointment
We
in the
all,
pros, man. But Lakers took a
he's been
flyer
a
on him. What
bust.
do you think?
Cam had some moments last year defensively. Surprisingly, he did have some moments last year. He was even starting at points last year, which is one of those what the fuck, Darvin. He was actually starting, and it was again his impact was very minimum on the offensive end. He'd make a couple threes here and there. Oh, Cam Reddish made a three, but it was not much offensively. He can go. Again, I feel like we can find somebody at a minimum salary that's probably going to be an upgrade over him. But I have to give it. I did. He did have some moments last year defensively. He did have some moments, but it wasn't enough. And again, also health wasn't healthy at points. Missed a lot of time. So yeah, he's one of those one of those busts, one of those draft busts because he was highly regarded coming out of Duke, and it just hasn't turned out for him. You know. But also, I think again, he's a guy that has name value. So the Laker fans are like, oh, we can sign Cam Reddish. I mean, who knows, man? Maybe he just need a new change of scenery, And it's like, no, he's just not that good. He's just not that good, man. So
So you're thinking he's gonna be gone? Is he a free agent as well?
yeah, he's a 1 year minimum salary guy, and I think he's gone. I don't think he's back.
All right, we'll put him in the gone category. And Gabe Vincent is next on the list here. What do you think?
He will definitely be. I wouldn't say definitely, but if I guess, he'll be in a trade because of his salary. And again, another another signing that at the time sounded good, but didn't pan out for the Lakers. And just and again injuries. He was hurt most of the season. Like I don't think he played 20 games last year. He was hurt pretty much all year. And when he did play, he was not effective, which you wouldn't expect to be because he was out all year. But again, it was another signing that, when everybody was praising Rob Pelinka, Gabe Vincent, that's a good signing. Gabe Vincent had a really good role with the Heat in that championship run. Played a really
Yeah,
big role in that. Again, making big threes and playing some defense and getting after guys. He was the kind of guy that the Lakers needed. Again, a dog. And it didn't pan out for them because of the injuries last year. So if I had to guess, he'll be back. He'll be back because of his contract. He's on a contract, so he's going to be back. But I would guess he'd be in a trade for salary purposes. He'll be in a trade.
A off-season trade or like mid-season trade?
Uh, I'm guessing off-season trade.
Okay.
I'm guessing if they do any kind of deal with the draft during the draft, he'll be in it. He'll be one of the pieces in it. Again, his salary is around 10, 11 million, so he's going to be. I think he's a trade piece at this point.
I like Gabe Vincent, man. Like it's a shame he's got hurt so much last year, but I'm a fan of his, man. Like he's like you said, he plays really well defensively. He can make threes. Like I like Gabe Vincent, man. Like I personally think y'all should keep him. I don't think you should move him because I think he'll have a better year next year. Like he just could not stay on the floor last year. It just didn't happen, man.
Yeah,
But I do see your point though. Good contract. A guy that I think a lot of teams will look at what he did the year before last and will be interested in him. And if you're looking to make a move, he's definitely somebody that has some value. I don't know, man. I just think it might be a deal you regret because I got a feeling Gabe Vince he's gonna have a better year next year. But I do
he
see
might.
your point though.
He might. He definitely might. But like I said, if I had to guess, he'll be a trade piece. Because again, if you're looking at that roster and you're looking at contracts and who can be traded, there's not. There's only about three or four guys.
Mm-hmm.
That can be traded. That's going to give you any kind of value. But yeah, I thought I was really excited when we signed him, and it just didn't pan out because of injuries.
All right. Roy Hachimura. This is a guy y'all made the trade for him, and I loved Hachimura in college. I always kind of felt like he wasn't like used right when he was with the Wizards. And so when y'all made the trade for him, initially it looked good. It looked like it was going to pan out really well. Like when he first joined the team and whatnot. And I remember he had a playoff run. I'm like, this dude is going in. Then I don't know. After that, it kind of felt like he's just had real up and down, he's been real up and down since then. So what's your thoughts on Roy?
Hachimura is an interesting character. He's an interesting player because, again, he's a nice player until you see his salary, and then you like, really? Hachimura's gonna make 17 million next year.
Hmm.
So it's like I like Hachimura at a certain number, but when you look at his contract, and again, when they traded for him, we only gave up a second round pick. And again, it was another situation where you know you saw potential in him, but he was in Washington, and Washington is like where good players go to die. We've seen that we've seen guys like Daniel Gafford leave Washington and then turn out to be a huge piece of Dallas's title run, championship, finals run right now. And the same thing with Hachimura. Like, well, he was in Washington, and Washington's, like I said, is just a cesspool right now. And we got a second round pick for him. I think that unfortunately, again, because of his contract, he could possibly be a trade piece, but definitely keep him on the team. But because of his salary, but he's gonna be a trade piece. I think again, he's got a lot of potential. He shot the three a lot better with the Lakers than he did in Washington.
Right.
But it's so hard. It's so hard for guys that play that position to play with LeBron. It's just hard because again, he didn't rebound as well as I hoped he would. Defensively, he had moments, but teams too. A lot of times he was just out there to kind of shield LeBron from having to defend a lot, and he wasn't that defender type of player. Again, you like his length, and you like his size, but man, at the number he's getting paid, I don't know. I don't see him as a 16, $17 million a year player. But again, unfortunately, that is the going rate for guys like him. So
Right.
he's a good player, but I believe he will be a trade piece as well.
All right. So I put him in the could be traded category.
Yeah, he
And
definitely could be. He's definitely a trade. Here's the thing: anybody that's on the roster making decent salary that's not LeBron AD is a trade piece. To be honest with you, and that does not. And again, if I'll go into that when we finish up. It does not. It's not a good It's not good for a team. And again, this has been the recurring issue of LeBron teams over the years, going back to Cleveland, is that when the team isn't doing well, everybody's in trade rumors. Is never is everybody in trade rumors. That doesn't help your team. And you saw that with the Lakers the last couple of years and how they played before the trade deadline and after the trade deadline.
Right. Yeah, I just think that's a problem overall, man. Because, and I feel like some of the guys we're going to talk, especially the last two guys we're going to talk about on here, I think that's really a thing, and I think it's really affecting the way they play.
Absolutely.
It's just every damn year is the Lakers get off to a rough start. Who's going to get traded? Can we trade this guy? Trade this guy? Trade this guy? Like, there's no other team where we do where that's the case. The coach is on the hot seat. I love LeBron. LeBron is, you know, one of the greatest players to ever play the game, but this is the only thing about him that's kind of a downside. That like every single year it's like this. The Lakers are probably gonna have a lot of change to their roster, but it's gonna be the same thing. If they start off the season like 11-13, it's gonna be who's getting traded. We moving this guy, moving this guy. And I don't think everybody plays well under that pressure when every time you have a bad game, people are ready to throw you out the door. You know what I mean? Like I just think it's magnified so much with the Lakers more than any other team. And I think that definitely hurts some of these guys on your team for sure. Really do.
It's been like I said, it's been a problem. It is a byproduct of being in the LeBron James business, unfortunately. That's just a byproduct of that. And again, you can go back to those those Cleveland teams. It was a problem there, and they get off to a rough start, and you can remember when they had gotten off to a rough start, and LeBron posted the author meme or whatever it was, and it was like because that's what he does, that passive aggressive shit that I don't like LeBron that he does. And he's been doing that for years. And it's like, dude, what else did you want them to do? Because then it was the Paul George thing. Because then it was like Paul George was available possibly in trade, and and it's like they did not want to trade that first round pick, and that was the bitch that what they had where they didn't want to trade their first round pick because they weren't sure if LeBron was going to be back. And
Right.
LeBron's last year in Cleveland, they were not willing to trade those picks because they were not committed to. LeBron was not committed, and everybody knew LeBron was going to the Lakers. I mean, that became obvious in that last year that he was going to the Lakers. But that's been a recurring problem for LeBron over the last for a while, pretty much. But that's the byproduct of being in LeBron James business because the spotlight is on your team because that's what the national media always talks. They can't stop talking about LeBron. You know, they just can't stop talking about him. It's like last week on First Take, in the middle of the NBA Finals, they had two LeBron topics. LeBron hadn't played; his teams hadn't played since April. In the
Right.
middle of the NBA Finals,
Right.
they had two LeBron topics. It's like
Right.
it's embarrassing how much they fawn over LeBron at this point of his career. But that's part of the deal, and because of that, there's always going to be discussions and topics on the team that he's on, and I don't think that helps a lot of guys.
Right. Um. All right. Max Christie. What's your thoughts?
He's got potential, but again, he got no run last year, and when he did play, he was effective at times. But again, part of the Darvin Ham problem was there was no consistent rotation. And again, I know injuries played a part in that, but Christie he would play sometimes and then other times he'd get no run. And it's like at some point, and I said this, I think I said this to you last year at one, but I was like, at some point, you just gotta throw these guys out there and see if they can play. They use a draft pick on Max Christie. And it's like at some point you gotta just run them out there and play them. And I think Darvin tried that, but it wasn't consistent because again he'd play some and he would be effective, and then he wouldn't play at all. So I don't know what to think of him because he just could not get consistent run. And I think you got to give these guys consistent run, especially in the beginning of the season in those early months of the season. You got to give these young guys run to see if they can play, and you got to be consistent with it.
I just
And
think it's
Darvin was
tough.
not consistent.
It's just tough, man, because like when you have LeBron and you have AD and your name is the Los Angeles Lakers, the expectation is Western Conference Finals, NBA Finals, championship. So it's kind of hard to just like throw some guys in there and see if they can play. You kind of, as a coach, you do have to kind of stick with your guys who are more veterans, the guys that you think can play a bit more consistently than someone like that. So I kind of get why Ham was on that tip, but also it didn't matter. He got fired anyway, but I kind of get it, man. I kind of get it.
Well, again, he got fired. He got fired largely because there was no consistent rotation. And the lineup, the starting lineup the Lakers should have been going with the entire season was the one they finished with. And it was like, dude, why are you playing around with Cam Reddish and these guys in the starting lineup when you flip flop Austin? Again, we'll get to Austin Reeves in a minute, but it was just too much flip flopping with guys on the bench, starting off the bench. He was just trying to find something that worked in the beginning when it's like the obvious lineup was right in front of him. And like I said, with Max Christie, unfortunately, it just again, like you said, that again, make no mistake about it, that Laker mystique is fucking dead at this point. There is no Laker mystique. That's a media driven thing. This is a very mediocre franchise and has been for the last 10 years now. And it's been a mediocre franchise for a long time. They had they you know, and that stuff is dead. They need to find some young players to help because again, you're banking all of your success on an older on an on Anthony Davis who's played already 10 years in the league and injury prone and a 40-year-old LeBron James. At some point LeBron is going to get old and he's going to not be able to play anymore. Again, it happens to every player. Father the time is undefeated. I know it's a cliche that gets used a lot, but man, they gotta find some young players. I like to keep Matt Christie and get him some more run next year, but I just don't. As long as LeBron's on the team, it's gonna be hard for younger players to get any kind of run on this team. And Christie needs to get some run to see if he can play.
So
You
would you
know?
put Mac? Would you put Max Christie in the could be trade? Is he a free agent? Is he a free agent?
No, I believe he's still under his rookie contract, so I believe he doesn't have much trade value because of his contract. And again, he didn't play a whole lot to show that maybe he could be a trade piece. I think that he was again, I do think he was drafted with the thought of him being a trade piece because that's pretty much where it feels like any Laker draft pick over the last couple of years. It feels like anybody they've drafted with the purpose of trading. But I would say Christie is probably just going to be on the team. I don't think he has any trade value at all, but he'll be on the team.
All right, we'll put him in the staying category. And now we're getting to the two, to me, most interesting conversations. D'Angelo Russell, what do you think?
The most frustrating fucking player been that I've had with the Lakers in a long time. Just an incredibly frustrating player because he had a really good second half of the season last year once the trade deadline passed. Because again, since he's been with the Lakers, and this is going back to when we drafted him, since he's been with the Lakers, and people don't seem to remember, D'Lo was there. His first year was Kobe's last year. He played with Kobe. And people don't see. I don't know if people remember that because the Lakers were so horrible that year. But D'Lo is, when he was drafted, there was a lot of questions about his leadership on court, and we all know some of the stuff that happened in his that year. It was not a very mature team. Obviously, that first year he was there, and the stuff with him and Nick Young is well documented. Um, I think he's gotten. Look, he had one All Star season, and he was a replacement in Brooklyn. It didn't work for him in Golden State. I mean, his whole career he's been basically a trade piece. The Minnesota run was disappointing. Uh, the Golden State run was basically just for him to be a trade piece. And I think since he's been with the Lakers, he's been a trade piece since he's been here. From the moment they traded for him, it was they're gonna move him. And then surprisingly they signed him to a team friendly contract last year in the offseason. They signed him to a 1-1 that was very trade friendly. So now I'm looking at his player options like 18 million. I don't see a scenario where he opts into that. Why would he? Because if he opts into it, he's definitely getting traded. It's just I can't I don't really know what to say about him because I think that he's either not going to be back or he's going to be a trade piece. If he opts into his contract, he's definitely getting traded. But he has so there's no incentive for him to opt into that contract because again in the open market he's probably going to get a lot more than 18 million. He had moments where he just is a very streaky player offensively. Defensively, he tried last year. I will give him that. He tried on defense. It wasn't good, but he tried at least. He was definitely. It wasn't to the point of where it was last year, a year ago, when he basically was unplayable against Denver in the Western Finals because he just could not. Jamal Murray was just cooking him was just cooking his ass, just frying his ass up. And he tried on defense last year. I think he was better on defense, but he wasn't. He still was not very good. And offensively, he was just a box of chocolate with him. You never knew what you were going to get. You know, you just did not know what you were going to get with him. You might you would get the game started, and he would hit 4 threes in the first quarter. Like, oh, D'Lo's cooking. He's got it cooking today. And then you could see him, and he could go 0 for 7 in a playoff game. Just inconsistency has always been a key
I,
with him. Go ahead.
I still like D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I think he's probably gone off of your roster for sure, but I still like D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
You're right. He is hot and cold, but I think that there's a lot of teams in the league that actually need that. They need somebody that can be like a microwave off the bench. Um, I think a lot of teams need that. Now, is D'Angelo Russell a starter on a lot of teams in the league? I don't know. I think there are some teams we probably would be a starter. I think because I have heard him link with Orlando. I have seen the Magic link to him possibly. Would he probably start on our team? He probably would, honestly, because I think we're gonna have a hole there. So I think he probably would start, and he would be an improvement to what we have. So yeah, I still like D'Angelo Russell. Like you said, he's not opting into the 18 million. There's not a chance he's opting into that. He's not
Hell no, he's not opting that.
he's not
Hell
opting into
fucking
that. He's
hell
gonna hit
no.
the market. And
He's going to hit the
with the
market, and he's going to hit the market, and he's going to easily get 3 for 100. I don't even debate that. Like a team like Orlando, if you don't offer him 3 for 100, you're fucking nuts because he's the type of player that you need.
Mhm.
Like I said, when he's got it going, he's the type of player that you need. You need outside shooting guys that he can create his own shot. He was a pretty good playmaker last year. His assist numbers were way up, especially in
Right,
games when LeBron didn't play. His assist numbers were
right.
way up. So he made a lot of plays for the Lakers when, but he played so much better when LeBron wasn't on the floor. To be honest, he played much better because he had the ball in his hands at all
Ball in
times.
his
He was the
hands.
playmaker.
Right.
He's the type of player that if you give him the ball at all times, he'll make shit happen. Again, he can create his own. He can create his own shot, and he was much better last year in the playmaking department because you got to remember when he first came in the league, that was the concern about him. When his rookie season, I don't think he averaged 4 assists a game in his
Right.
first year.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think last year he was at around 6.5 or 5.5, 6 assists a game.
Right.
So he's gotten better at that,
Right.
much better at
And I think
playmaking.
and I think it's important you bringing up his playmaking. Because I think a lot of people who may not watch him much think that he is just a chuck up threes, chuck it up kind of guy, but he can play make. He can play make quite a bit. And
Yeah,
yeah, I think he's gonna definitely not. He's gonna opt out, and I think somebody's going to sign him for like the contract that you said. I think he probably offered his team next year. I don't think he wants to be on the team anymore. I think that he probably going back to what we were talking about before. I think that he probably is probably tired of this whole it's always everybody else's fault kind of thing, and people always just pointing the finger straight at him. And look, he had games where he played horrifically, so it's not
Yeah,
all off of him. He had some horrible games, but I think it's for him. It's like I'd rather go somewhere else where the spotlight ain't on me and I can just play. And I think he's gone. I think he goes to a team next year and he has a good season. I really do.
I do.
I'm
I
still
do.
I'm still a fan of his. I've always been a fan of his.
Like, look, I was a fan of his when he got into, when we drafted him. I
Yeah,
was high on him.
me too.
I didn't, like I said, I thought that he just needed. I thought that his. I thought the problem with D'Lo in his first year was the microscope of him being on that team with Kobe in Kobe's last year, and all the attention was on Kobe. And that team around was just it was one of the worst Lakers. It's one of the worst Laker teams in the history of the Lakers. That team was god fucking awful. If you go back and look at that roster, who was on that team, you like Jesus Christ, I can't believe those guys were on the team with Kobe Bryant, but they were, and it was horrible. And I think he was in a bad spot, and Magic didn't help with some of the things that he said about him. So you knew he was getting traded because again, once Lonzo Ball came up, you and Magic was enamored with Lonzo.
Yeah,
So you knew what was going to happen there. I just think D'Lo has just been traded so much. I mean, he was traded. Like I said, he got traded from LA
yeah,
to Brooklyn.
right.
You know, and again, that trade, the trade that ended up putting him in Brooklyn. The only good thing about that was that we got a draft pick in it, and we was able to draft Kyle Kuzma with that. Of course, that
Ah,
didn't help because Kuz was off the
yeah,
fucking team
he
now.
was on the team. So,
So
yeah.
it's just it's again, he is a. I think he's a good player. I just think he's very streaky. So if he's on your team, understand he's going to have games where he's going to go 3 for 12. He's going to have 3 for 13, 7 points and 4 turnovers, and he's going to have games where he's not going to shoot the ball very well.
Right.
But I think his playmaking has gotten better. So I do think he will be an enticing player to a lot of teams who are looking for, that point guard that could be a playmaker and that can create his own shot. Because again, he can create his own shot. He doesn't
Right.
need a shot created for him. He can create his
Right.
own shot. He's got good handles, so he can create space. It's just that he's gonna have some pretty night. He's gonna have some awful nights shooting. So just understand that, you know. But I think he definitely be. I think he would definitely be a fit in Orlando. If I think Orlando's gonna have a number of guys that can go after that could be a good fit for them, and he's one of them. And he may not cost as much, but I do think that he's definitely gonna get more than 18 a year. That
Right.
I would put I can guarantee that he will get more than 18 a year. He's gonna get around 25 a year. So
Mm,
I could see 3 for 75 for him, something like that. He's gonna get paid.
I agree. So rounding this thing off, Austin Reeves. I think the Lakers are going to trade him, and I think they're going to regret it. I think they're going to trade him. I think that when you look at the Lakers roster, he is the piece that when the Lakers make calls about trades, I think every single team that's going to pick up the phone are going to say, "Is Austin Reeves on the menu?" And I think the Lakers' answer to that question is going to be yes. And I think I personally think they're going to trade him, and I think you're going to regret it. I think that the allure of some of the guys you're going to you got some mock trades, but the allure of some of those guys that the Lakers are thinking about pairing with their team, the allure of that, I think Austin Reeves is the guy that they're going to move to get him. So I think he's going to get traded. What do you got?
I just it pisses me off because Austin Reeves is the type of player they need to build this team around. He again when LeBron didn't play, Austin Reeves was the best player the Lakers had. He was a playmaker. Again, playmaker. Young guys playmaking. Defensively, again, he tries, but he tries really hard, but he's not there yet defensively. But if if I have a really sad, sinking feeling that he will be traded because he is the one guy that has. One thing again, his contract is very trade friendly. His contract is the Lakers got him for a bargain because I was expecting, and I didn't understand it when it happened last year. I was expecting a team like San Antonio, who had obviously going to draft wanting draft Wimby, but they had shit ton of cap room, and I figured they'd offer Austin Reeves 4 years and $90 million and say the Lakers match it, and the Lakers would have had no choice but to match it. But that didn't happen, and they was able to sign him to a very friendly contract. I think 4 for 52 or four, something like that. It's a very friendly contract. So they got him for a bargain, and he played very well last year. Again, he was a byproduct of that trade bullshit. He was a byproduct of that. Oh, I guess LeBron wants to trade everybody shit, or and he was also a byproduct of that. Well, you're starting now. You're not starting now. You're off the bench now. That dude should have been starting every fucking game from the start. There should not have been a time he came off the bench. But I think that Darvin's thinking was, and again, I understand his thinking. The thinking was he would probably be better served not playing with LeBron because again, LeBron has to have the fucking ball all the time. My thing is, why does a 39-year-old guy have to have the ball all the time?
I
Why
mean,
can't
LeBron's
LeBron
always got to have
play?
the ball in his hand, though. I mean, LeBron's not changing now. He does have to have the ball in his hand.
But again, why not? LeBron is the power forward on the team now. He's a power forward that can't defend. Why is he not? Why is he not playing as a power forward?
It's possessionless
And put,
basketball, bro. You know that.
yeah, I understand the position is basketball shit. I get all that. I'm just saying, LeBron at this stage of his career, he's 6'9", he's 252, whatever he is weight wise. He's big, he's strong, he just overpowered guy at this time. Why is he always with the ball? And Austin Reeves should have been to me. Austin Reeves should have been the primary ball handler on this team
Never gonna
because
happen with
he.
LeBron. Never gonna
I
happen.
understand, and I know that, and that's why we're in the shape that we're in right now, because we just catering to this fucking LeBron James. And I get it, he's LeBron James, but how is that helping us win right now? It's not. Reeves is the kind of guy that you want to build your team around because he's young. He can create his own shot. He creates shots for other guys. He's a great passer. He can rebound very well. He can shoot the three very well. He's a playmaker, and he's at a very friendly contract. But yeah, you're right. I believe that if teams like Atlanta or whoever calls, Reeves is going to be the top guy that's going to be looked at. And if he's not on the menu, I don't see the Lakers acquire. I again, we'll get in, you can get into a couple of who you can see to be a trade targets for the Lakers. But of all those guys you're looking at trade targets, why would those teams trade those guys and Austin Reeves not being the deal?
Yeah, it's got to be.
He's my so if I had to guess, I would agree with you. He's probably going to get traded, and it sucks because I don't want him traded. I'm a huge Austin Reeves fan. I was a huge fan of him when they drafted him. Um, he showed a lot of promise. He took a leap last year. I think the year before. I think last year he was greatly affected by the trade rumor nonsense and the inconsistent rotations. I think that hurt him a little bit. But once all that shit was done, I think he played very well. Again, postseason, he was not effective in the postseason against Denver until I think the last game, but he struggled definitely in the postseason. So that's a concern, obviously. But I'm a big Austin Reeves fan. I don't want to trade him, but the reality is, again, if they go to LeBron and LeBron, hey LeBron, we can get Trey Young, but Austin Reeves got to be in the deal. LeBron's going to say, "Hey, what's the problem?"
Okay. Let's go ahead and get into that then. So we've now rounded out the entire roster, and those are the guys that can be traded. What are some of the trades that you think the Lakers are going to look at? Not necessarily what you would do, but what are the trades you think the Lakers are going to look at?
Trey Young is going to be at the top of the list because again, the word is the word is kind of out on Trey right now. The Hawks I think the Hawks will be listening for trades, but they don't want to come out and say it because they know it's going to piss off their fans. But trade's going to be available. I think Murray's going to be available from the Hawks. I just
I think Murray would be a good
if
fit to
I
get
think
him.
Murray would be a better fit than Trey Young would be. Because Trey Young doesn't fix the defensive problems the Lakers have. The Lakers have no perimeter defense, no perimeter defense. That's the biggest problem that we've had the last couple of years. And again, I'm looking at the Western Conference. I'm looking at these guys like SGA and guys like Ant Man. Who we got to going to defend those guys? Nobody. I said this on the phone to you yesterday. We don't got nobody's going to defend that can defend Anthony Edwards. Nobody.
Right.
Nobody can defend
And the,
Anthony Edwards.
and the thing about Trey is that like we were just talking about how LeBron needs the ball in his hands, and that kind of takes away from what Austin Reeves could do. You bring in Trey Young, Trey Young's going to want the ball in his hands. Like the thing is, like when the Hawks got DeJounte Murray, like a lot of people, and myself included, thought it was going to work because it was like, all right, bet now we got a defensive guy next to Trey. And he can handle the ball. DeJounte Murray can handle the ball. So now that gives us an opportunity to see Trey Young play more off ball. For whatever reason, it's not happening in Atlanta. And it's like Trey is still just pounding the ball. Like I thought we were going to see more of him like off ball and shooting. And it really hasn't happened. It's like now Trey Young, when he was in college, you saw the potential to him being like an off ball shooter and whatnot. But it's like since he's gotten to the pros, it's like nope, ball in my hand and let me do what I
Mhm.
do. And I get it, man. But like if it hasn't happened there, I got a feeling it's not gonna happen. And so if Trey Young was on
No.
the Lakers, I kind of want what I was expecting. I will want that. I will want to see if he can play some off ball stuff off of LeBron and whatnot. But if it hasn't happened in Atlanta, I don't see any reason why it's going to happen with the Lakers. He's going to win the ball in his hand. So I don't know. To me, Trey Young creates a bit of a, but beyond just defensive stuff, I think it creates a bit of a problem. I think DeJounte Murray will be a better fit, honestly. I think he would be a better fit. But the question is, would you trade Austin Reeves to get DeJounte Murray?
No, man. No. I don't want to do that. But again, if you look at the Lakers roster, there isn't a whole lot there besides again, outside again, you're not trading Anthony Davis, you're not trading LeBron, obviously. So beyond that, look at the roster. It's Hachimura, Vanderbilt, Austin Reeves. Those are your three guys that you have on a contract right now that make a decent salary that you can move them for. But I'm like, am I really gonna trade Vanderbilt, Hachimura, and Austin Reeves for Dejounte Murray or Trey Young? But that's what's going to happen. The reality is the Lakers are going to use whatever first round picks they have available. They're going to have three. They're going to have three picks available on draft night. They're going to use those picks and they're going to package them with the guys they want to trade. They're going to try to acquire somebody without trading Austin Reeves. I do believe that. But it's going to be very difficult because you look at the other guys. Again, what are you fetching with Vanderbilt, Hachimura, and Gabe Vincent? Because those are the three guys that make decent salary where you can move them. You could package those three guys and then throw in the draft picks. Is that enough for Trey Young or DeJounte Murray? I don't think so.
It's not, and you shouldn't be
But
trading any more draft picks either.
yeah, and I agree with you on that one. But again, the Lakers don't give a shit about draft picks. That's been very obvious. And
Yeah.
again, LeBron teams do not care about draft picks. LeBron does not care about draft picks because why would LeBron care about a 2028 draft pick when he ain't probably going to be there?
Yeah, I get why
He
LeBron
doesn't
doesn't
care.
care. I get why LeBron doesn't care about him, but the Lakers organization should care about him. Like at some point, you have to stop it. You just can't just keep trading draft pick after draft pick after draft pick, and then these drafts come around and you don't have any control of it. Like it's just. I'm not saying you should never trade draft picks. Trading draft picks is definitely something that you can do and it can work out very well. I'm not opposed to trading draft picks. I'm opposed to these teams that are trading draft picks 4 and 5 years down the line. Like, yo, you don't even know what the world's going to look like in that amount of time. Like, you just can't do that. And I just think
I
that, like,
know.
the Lakers got to stop it, man. You have to stop it. You got to stop trading the draft picks. It will be a
I
huge
agree.
mistake to do it. You got to stop it. I mean, if there's a
I,
way
I, I
you
agree.
could if there's a way you could make a deal and you're not including draft picks, I think you look to do those deals. I mean, you just gotta stop, man. You can't keep trading these draft picks, man. It's killing you because you don't have the assets when these drafts come along. I mean, at least if you have your pick, you can come to draft night and say, "All right, I'm not really feeling this draft that much. Let's make a deal now." At least you could do that. But when
Mhm.
you just walk into the drafts like, oh, we ain't got no pick, or the pick ain't in our control. It's a pick swap. We don't know where we even gonna be picking. Like it's just you gotta stop it, man. The Lakers have to stop doing that. I mean, I think you're at a point of the franchise, man, where it's like you have to face the reality is that the championship window is just closed. It's just closed. There's no draft picks that you're gonna be able to trade to get somebody in there that's gonna get you back to the Western Conference Finals. And like the whole three musketeers thing, the big three, that don't pop no more. It's
That
not
shit
really
don't
about
work.
it. Don't yeah, it
That
don't
shit does
pop no
not
more.
work.
It's a wrap.
It's not
It's
working.
yeah.
We have enough evidence that shows that shit does not work anymore. Again, look at what's going on in Phoenix. That again, I talked about you talking this yesterday. We all don't. Does anybody think that Phoenix situation is going to have a happy ending?
No,
Like
no.
that just looks like a disaster. It just looks like a disaster, and the three-star thing does not work, and the Lakers are going to try to do that shit again. It's like, did you guys not learn your lesson from the Westbrook disaster? We had a good fucking team that won the title in 2020 and got back to the postseason in 21. We had a good team, and they traded away all that depth for Westbrook, and it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. Then they went back to getting some depth when they found a good deal for Westbrook. They brought in those guys they brought in, and it was a good. And what did happen? They got to the Western Finals, and what did they? And we're gonna do the same shit that we did a couple years ago that didn't work. Is that what we're gonna do? And I just again, this goes back to the front office and Palinka and Jeannie Buss. God bless Jeannie Buss. She seems like a nice lady. Seems like somebody really fun to party with. But she's a fucking horrible owner. Just an awful owner. But she's made it very clear where her focus is. Her focus is on LeBron James and whatever LeBron James wants. I told you, bro, when that fucking viral video that went out last year when LeBron didn't play, LeBron sitting there on the bench with his looking, sitting there talking to Jeannie Buss and Linda Rambis. And again, depending on who you ask, Linda Rambis is either just Jeannie Buss's best friend or integral part in the front office.
Mhm.
Nobody even
Right.
and and you saw that video, LeBron is sitting there talking to him, and it's like,
Mhm.
yep, LeBron's gonna get whatever contract he wants. Because Jeannie Buss is in love with LeBron James. Just her thing is we gotta have LeBron James, gotta have him, and the front office has been a joke. Palinka got look. I have to give Palinka credit because he did put together the 2020 team that won the title, and he was the right moves, the right players to fit around LeBron and AD. But since then, it's been a disaster. It's been an absolute disaster since then. The guys they brought in have not worked. It just hasn't worked. The trades they made have, again, they made the smart trade for Westbrook, but again, you had to trade a first round pick to get Westbrook off the team. And then you're watching Westbrook contribute to the Clippers. And you just like, what the hell, man? It just,
Right.
it just, it just, it's been a comedy of the Lakers since the 2020 title, and really, you can go back further than that. It's just been a comedy of errors. They did the 2020 title kind of masks a lot of that stuff. But if you go back before that, they lowballed Ty Lue when they're looking for coaches. They lowballed him, completely lowballed him.
Mhm.
And it was another coach. There was another guy, another coaching prospect that they lowballed, and they ended up with Frank Vogel as their third choice, and they won the title with Frank Vogel. But then Vogel got blamed for the Westbrook shit not working. When everybody said when they did, like that's not going to work. So now we bringing in Darvin Ham, and Darvin had some success again. They went to the Western Finals his first year with him. The second year they won more games and got, but again, the reality is they've struggled to find a head coach. They've struggled to find the right role players to way around LeBron and AD. The front office has been a disaster for the most part for the last 10 years. It's been a disaster, an absolute disaster, and it's just not going to get any better. Again, it's a bleak. The championship window is definitely closed. It's definitely closed. So I'm like, are we just going to gut whatever draft picks we have left for this fucking cent decade to maybe win 45 games again and be in the play-in again? I don't want to be in the play-in anymore, man.
Yeah,
I don't want to be in the play-in. But that seems like that's the ceiling for this team right now is the play-in tournament. Maybe they get a favorable first round matchup, but that's it. But again, the team it's just weird because I'm so negative on the team. But the reality is that they had gotten a favorable first round matchup this year, they probably would have won a round one series.
they could have for sure. We knew when they drew Denver that was all right. We not beat. They just can't
No,
beat that team. So we knew that was a
they can't
bad
beat that
draw.
team. They can't
Um,
beat that team. They're just not built to beat that team. But anybody else, you know, they probably would have been favored in a first round series against Minnesota or OKC. Not to say they would have won, but they would have been favored.
yeah.
But this
Um,
team is just in a weird spot, man. It's a weird, weird spot because again, you got LeBron on your team, so you're thinking championship, championship. This team is not anywhere close to a championship contender,
no, no.
and there's no trade. There's no trade that they can make that's going to make them a championship contender.
Right, which is exactly why I wouldn't. I'm not saying I wouldn't make any moves, but I just think trying to like pair like Austin Reeves with your future draft picks is a bad idea, man. Because it's just a bad idea. I just hope the Lakers don't do that. Like, don't
It's a
do
bad
it, man.
idea. It's a
Just
bad
don't do it.
idea. Yeah, it's a bad idea because again, you need to start thinking about life after LeBron. You need to start thinking about that because again, Jeannie Buss is so afraid that life after LeBron is going to look like life after Kobe, and that was an ugly time. And they're so afraid of that, but it's like you got to face reality when your top
Yeah,
star is 40 years old.
yeah,
You have to start prepping for the future.
yeah. You got to face reality, man. Like it's not.
You got to
It's.
face reality.
I mean, no team that LeBron leaves is it sunshine anymore. I mean,
No,
that's just the way it is, and they gotta just face that, man. And like the idea of trading away guys that can help you in the future is just a bad idea. And I don't think again, I think DeJounte Murray is a good fit, but again, I don't know what pieces you have that could legitimately get him. Mikal Bridges in Brooklyn would be a good fit, but the same thing. I think Brooklyn was a big time offer for him. So I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of moves any realistic moves that you really can make to really help this roster much.
Brooklyn. Yeah, Brooklyn. Any of these teams like Brooklyn and Atlanta, they're not going to give these guys away.
Right.
Brooklyn is not interested in giving away guys. Brooklyn wants to either completely blow their team up and rebuild, or they want to get somebody again to play with Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, but the thing is,
And
I think Brooklyn is in a similar spot as Atlanta because they don't have control of their draft capital. The same thing
yep,
I've been talking about. They don't have control of their
yeah,
draft pick. So you can't do what you realistically need to do, which is blow the thing up because you blowing it up doesn't help you because you don't get your draft picks. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It when you trade your capital like that, when you trade your draft picks to someone else, you don't have them anymore. Like someone else has it. And so now you can't even rebuild. Because what's the point?
mhm,
Atlanta has no reason to trade away DeJounte and go to the bottom because the bottom don't help them. It helps whoever has their pick, the Spurs. The damn Spurs have their picks.
right,
They have them.
yeah, yeah.
So it
And
doesn't
again, it
help
just
you.
it goes back to again these teams not caring about draft picks, and it's like you don't care about the draft picks until it's time to when you have to rebuild your team, and the only way to rebuild your team, especially when you're a small market team or a mid market team, and you're not a free agent destination, How do you rebuild your team?
Even the free agent destination thing is dead because nobody lets their teams go, lets their big players become free agents anymore.
Exactly.
Even that's dead.
Exactly. There is no free. I mean, free agency is what it is now. The big time guys are getting locked up. So it's a trade market. So
Right,
that's why you're seeing so many draft picks get traded because really, what what do you have to trade? And again, it's because again, if you want to get a great player, you're gonna have to trade for him.
right,
What do you have? What do teams want to get in trades? And a lot of times it's draft picks
right,
because
right.
draft picks you can use you can use draft picks to trade for other guys or do this or pack it again. Draft picks nowadays are just basically just trade pieces now. That's what they are. And I don't agree with that. But again, if you look at some of these teams that have gotten to the top of the league who are up on the up and coming tip, what do a lot of those teams have in common? They made a lot of savvy trades and they have tons of draft picks to use to move. And that's why it's just frustrating to look at the Lakers and like, dude, we're not going. It's like moving in quicksand right now. You know, you look up at your ceiling says, uh, you know, look at this. You look at your ceiling and it's playing tournament.
Yeah,
That's pretty much where it is. It's playing
yeah,
tournament.
yeah. So the Bronny James thing. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because
I don't even.
to be honest, I didn't like watch him a bunch in college. But I remember looking at a lot of like high school film of the kid, and I mean, I saw some things there, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to really put a spot on him as far as the draft because number one, this isn't a very good draft, and I haven't really dug deep into this draft to be honest. I mean, most years, I'm Mr. Draft. I can tell you the draft from
Right.
1 to 50 pretty much, but like 1 to 60, I mean, I can tell you draft all the way through. This year, I don't really know much about it. Um, but I think the Lakers are going to probably take him in the second round if he's still on the board. I would hope I would hope that they're not stupid enough to take him with their first round pick. So I think they'll take him with a second round pick. They may try to make a trade to like move up early in the second round and make sure he's there. I can see them doing that. But and I mean it will be a fun story. And I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not a fun story if like Bronny James gets drafted to the Lakers and LeBron is there, father son thing. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say it's not a great story. But I don't know how fun the story will be once the season starts because he's not going to play and he probably is not even going to be on the roster. Like Bronny James is not going to be on the roster if they draft him. He's going to be in the G League. He's not ready to play
Yeah.
professional basketball yet. So
No, it's not.
I don't know how fun the story will be once the season starts. But like when they draft, it'll be fun, bro. It'll be cool. Like oh crap, the father and son. That's pretty dope. But yeah, what do you think?
I've been very cautious about even talking about this shit because it's just it's obvious what's going on here. You know, it's very obvious that LeBron. It's obvious that the Lakers are going to draft Bronny James if he's available, but they're not. If they use a first round pick on Bronny James, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it because he is not a first round pick caliber player. He is a prospect. He is a project right now. That's what he is. He's nothing more than a project. At this point, he's got some things that, again, I know that he's looked impressive at times. Teams are going to look at him and say, can he defend? Can he make shots? And can he shoot the three? That's going to be his biggest thing. Again, if you can shoot the three, you're going to have a chance in the NBA now.
Yep.
But that's going to be the thing. Can he consistently shoot the 3-point shot? Can he defend? And he's got some. Again, he's got his dad's athletic ability. He's a super athlete. He's got size. But if you can't crack, and again, I understand that he was coming off the heart issue
Right.
at USC. But if you couldn't have cracked that starting rotation, and that team was a below 500 team last year,
Right.
I don't know what that says about your. I would have personally, if I had advised Bronny, I would have said stay in college for another year.
Yeah, I agree.
but I understand that the the idea of him playing with LeBron, and again, I don't know if that's his dream or LeBron's dream. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't. I didn't like it. I didn't like it, all that stuff. I think it's too much pressure on the kid because again, if this kid enters the NBA, what kind of expectations he's gonna have? You know, and it's like again, if I'm looking at the Lakers and their thinking might be, hey, if LeBron retires, well, we got Bronny. We can. And it's like, dude, Bronny's a prospect. That's what he is. He's a
Yeah,
project. He's a prospect. He's a project. He's not somebody. If it would be one thing if he was a highly salted prospect in college. And he wasn't.
he wasn't.
He just wasn't. He wasn't even the best team on his high school team, best player on his high school team.
Yeah.
He just wasn't, man. So I don't know. But the Lakers' thinking has been very, very. It's pointing towards him being drafted by the Lakers. But like I said, even if he is drafted by the Lakers, he ain't playing this year. He's a
No.
G League guy.
He
He's
might
going
not
to
be.
be in the
That's
G
it. He
League.
might not be on the roster. He might not even be like on the bench. Like even if he didn't, I don't think anybody expects him to like crack the Lakers rotation. Like that's insanity. But I
That's
think
insane.
it would be cool if he was like on the roster, if he was like sitting on a bench. You know, I think that would be kind of dope. But I'm not sure even that's gonna happen. Like he's probably gonna be in the G League. Like I can't imagine him actually making the roster, man. So
And again,
I don't
I'm looking at any first round picks, second round picks. I'm looking at, dude, you need to find players
play. Yeah,
that can play. I don't need prospects and sideshows and circuses and all that dumb shit. I need guys that can play.
yeah,
I'm sick of this nonsense, bro. I need guys that can play. And again, second round pick, again, the second round is basically a crapshoot. You just draft him to see if a guy can. But again, we've seen guys get drafted in the second round and be multiple time MVPs.
yeah.
You know,
It's it's,
like
it's
Nick, you know,
rare, but
like
it happens. It's rare, but it
yeah,
happens.
you need to use whatever draft picks you have. You need to use them and at the best of your ability and try to get the best prospect possible that can help your team. And I just look at the Bronny James thing as just being a sideshow. It's just being, hey, we got LeBron's kid. You know, it's like,
It will be dope though.
and
You know
and
it will be
again,
dope. Though. It will be dope. You know it will be dope.
I guess, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure it'd be cool in the preseason to have
yeah,
LeBron
it'll be
out there
cool.
throwing alley oops to
Yeah,
LeBron. I'm sure that'd
yeah,
be pretty cool in
yeah,
the
for sure.
preseason. But in the regular season, when I'm trying to win games and I'm trying to get in the postseason, and I gotta see how I'm gonna get past the Thunder and the Wolves. And I don't have time. I don't have time for that shit. And he is not a ready pro at this point. He's just not. Just not. And I just think that the media spent way too much time on him because who he is. And I get it. I get all
Yeah.
that, but I just it just smells like more coddling of LeBron, pretty much. And I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it helps the kid. I don't think it helps the kid either.
I agree. So with that, man, anything else you want to add? Anything else?
It's bleak. This roster sucks. It's a bleak. It's not much outlet. It's just not much to look forward to. Again, it's like, hey, we got LeBron and AD. Great. That doesn't mean shit anymore. We've had LeBron and AD for like 5 years now. We got one fucking championship to show for it in the fucking bubble. And the last 2 years have been playing tournaments, and it's just not. It's not. You're just looking at what they're gonna do, and you're just like, I've been telling y'all all year, and pretty much all year, what they were going to do in the offseason. And I still think that's what they're going to do. And it's just it's the wrong move. Because if you package your picks, and again, that's the only thing that's enticing, I think, the teams is those first round picks. Because again, if you're looking at 2027, 2028, LeBron ain't gonna be there. What that Lakers team gonna look like in 2028 is it keeps me up at night.
Right,
I don't know what it's going to look like.
right,
What that roster
exactly,
is going to look like. So
exactly.
those picks are going to be very valuable. Just like I think those Phoenix picks are going to be very valuable because what's that Phoenix situation going to look like in 2 years? It's just that's where I'm at. I'm kind of like this fucking team has been a disaster. Really, it's just been a disaster in the front office for the last decade. Palinka should have been fired with Darvin Ham, but he's not going to be. He's again the GM is probably the one person who is the closest to the owner most of the season. So when the owner is going to you and saying, "Why the hell are we struggling? Why are we only at 25 and 20? Why are we at 500? Why are we at ninth place?" The GM can sit there and say, "Man, it's that fucking coach, man. Fucking Darvin Ham, man. He don't know what he's doing."
Yeah.
And all that does is buy Palinka another year.
Every GM does this, man. We see GMs all the
Every
time just
yeah,
firing
every
coaches. And it's
GM is
like, at what point do you say, like, yo, we keep firing coaches and we still suck? Maybe it's not the coach. Maybe it's the person picking the players. That might have something to do
exactly.
with it.
Yeah, and that's what every GM in the league does. Every GM in the league will tell the owner, "Yeah, it's the fucking coach, man. We gotta get rid of the coach." And it's like it's never me, it's the coach. And it's like, well, why'd you trade so many first round picks? Look, man, those first round, it's just it's just the GMs in this league have got the gravy job because they were able to bypass and they keep pushing the buck, kicking the can down the road. And that's what Plinker's been doing is kicking the can down the road. It's the coach's fault. It's his fault. It's injuries. It's this. It's this. Like I said, Blinker had this 1 year where he built a championship team in 2020, and everything aligned well. Since then, it's been an absolute disaster. The
I
roster's been
agree.
a disaster, and it's not going to
I
change.
agree. I agree with you, man. So we're gonna leave it there. We'll spin back on this, like probably in the once moves are made and we kind of see what the roster is gonna be. We'll spin back and I guess do a preview of the Lakers, and we'll see how it goes, man. Appreciate you doing this with me. I know it's a painful subject.
Uh,
We'll talk soon, man.
all right, brother. It's good talking to you.
Absolutely, man. Peace.
Peace.